Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I am 51 years old. I am married to my husband, Timothy. I am the stepmom to 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. Just wanted to pop on and chat. I don't really have a specific direction for my channel. I feel like my subscribership is small enough that I don't really have to be concerned about the algorithms. I feel like whoever is supposed to flow to my channel will flow to my channel. I don't get caught up in the numbers. I just want to come and hopefully whatever I'm sharing, whether that's through me just chatting, sharing something that I feel led to share, or whether it's me showing my sewing mates. I just hope whatever I share that you see the love in it. So there's a couple things that I wanted to share today that happened last week. On Monday, I was heading out to go to Home Depot, which is a large hardware store here in Michigan. And as I was pulling up in the parking lot, I was passing by a Kroger, which is a grocery store here in Michigan. I had Tim on the speakerphone and I had my windows down slightly, and I started hearing this music, and I was just like wondering where the music was coming from, because it didn't seem like it was like music coming from the store. It was so heavenly. I was getting emotional even before I found out where the music was coming from. It was a guy that was sitting, like he was sitting on the side of the parking lot, if that makes sense. It was within the parking lot, and he was sitting there. He had a sign. I couldn't read his sign at the time, but he was sitting there playing a violin, and it just sounded beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't know, but I scared Tim when I said that, because he thought something was wrong. It just caught me by surprise, and I was just like so overwhelmed. And it was like, I was telling him, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I've been telling him for months, if not years, that he needs to be putting love back on the earth through his music. He plays the saxophone. He's been playing since he was 13 years old. He is amazing. His music is beautiful. And I'm like, with everything, this is even before the current political climate started. I've been trying to tell him we have to combat this energy, this negative energy, with love. And the way we do that is through our voices and through our gifts and purpose. And his gift to play that saxophone is amazing. And I've been telling him he needs to put music, love back on the earth. I think music is a super powerful way to do that. But when I heard that music, I was just so overwhelmed. I continued to drive down to Home Depot, and I parked, and I was still like overwhelmed. I wasn't crying, but I was like, I have to do something. I didn't have any money on me, but I had a gift card that I had gotten from, well, I kind of stole it from Tim. He was never going to find it. I was organizing one day several weeks ago, and I opened up a card or a gift bag, and it had a card in it. And I opened up the card. It was still in the card, still in the envelope, and he was never going to use it. And I told him that I took it, so he was fine with it. So I was like, I'm going to go and give him this gift card. So I drove back down to Kroger, and I parked, and I walked over and I gave it to him. And his sign says something like he needed money for, I believe, shelter, his family, and food, I think. I believe he was playing something by Ed Sheeran when I first pulled up. And then I got back in the car after I gave him the gift card. And I was telling Tim what happened. As I was getting ready to go back down to Home Depot, he started playing a song, 1,000 Years, by Christine Perry, I believe, which is Tim and I's song. And every time I would hear this song, I would start crying. Like whether we were walking at the mall or in a restaurant or wherever we were, I would start getting emotional. And Tim would be so embarrassed. But the last couple of years, I wouldn't get emotional. But when I heard it that day, I just lost it, because it was like I was already overwhelmed by the love that I felt, and I couldn't hold it. But it was so amazing. And then the next day I got up, and usually when I get up, I go about my day, whatever I have to do. And I was feeling some type of way. I felt like I needed to find my happy. When I was talking to Tim as I was driving, he asked me how I was feeling, and I just said uncomfortable. Like, that was the best way to describe how I was feeling. So I was just driving, and I didn't really know where I was going to go. Usually when I go out, I either go and get something to drink or get something to eat to like lift my spirit. So I did that, and a few hours later, I ended up at A&W to get something to eat. And then after I finished eating, I was just on my iPad playing some games. Later on in that afternoon, Tim had gotten home from work, and he had called me. I was still up at A&W. He was just asking what I was doing. So I headed home, and I was still on the phone with him. I had heard my phone ding, so I knew I had some texts, but because I was driving and I was talking to Tim, I just figured I'd check my text later when I got home. So I got home, and Tim was laying across the bed, and I opened my phone and read the text. One text was from my sister, and I read it to myself first, and I was like, no way. And he was like, what? I scared him here. But it's another thing that caught me off guard. She said, keep my nephew, her son, in our prayers because his wife had passed away that morning in her sleep. And I was just so shook. It was almost like it hit me harder than actually hearing my mom had passed. Granted, my mom was sick for a while, and we knew it was possible that she may pass. So we had some time to prepare, but because my niece was so young and it was so sudden, it was just like my heart just broke. And I didn't get emotional at the moment, but all I could think about was, like, she was a beautiful person. The best way I can describe her personality was she was very colorful, but she was a sweetheart. And I didn't know her that well, because even though her and my nephew were married for several years, they've always lived out of town because he's in the military, and they've always lived either out of state or out of the country. But the times, like, I've met her, like, maybe a handful of times, she was a very fun loving person. She took care of those babies, and I know she loved my nephew. And so I was processing it the rest of the day, and my heart also broke for my sister, because I knew that her and my brother-in-law's life were about to change. And so I was just thinking about, like, just trying to process it and, like, trying to rationalize how I was feeling. It's like, we just have these stipulations on the level of grief that we feel for certain people. To lose, like, a parent or a child, like, that hits. Of course, that's expected to hit really hard. But love doesn't discriminate. Love doesn't have any stipulations. And the fact that I felt like that, it was just a deep love. And I connected to her kids because they're young. She had a son when they first got married, and then she had 3 kids with my nephew. Their youngest was, I believe, 3 years old, 3 or 4. And it's like they are going to have to grow up without their mom. And even though I am a full-grown adult, like, it still hurt to lose my mom. So there was that connection. And then also my nephew lost his wife, and my dad lost his wife, my mom. And I know that he is lonely sometimes. And, like, just those connections, it was just like so heartbreaking. But it made sense after, when I found that out, it made sense why I was feeling the way I was feeling that morning. Because it was just like, it was a heaviness. And of course, I just, when you're empathic, like, sometimes you don't realize or you don't know what you're carrying. The next morning, I got up and I was sitting in bed playing my game before I got up. And I started crying, and I just felt it. I just let myself feel it and process those emotions. And then I got up eventually and I got dressed. And a few hours later, my brother called, my youngest brother. and he asked if I had heard about my nephew's wife, and I told him I did. And he was kind of like saying how shocked he was about everything, and like how he was feeling. Like he was kind of like, he was like, is it just me, or like did this one hit hard? And I was like, I know it did. I said it hit so hard. When I thought about it, I just thought about like all of the love, the love that I felt when I heard that guy playing his violin. And then the next day to feel grief, but it was still like the love there that I felt that caused me to grieve so hard. Life just continues to reiterate that we have to put love back on this earth. So whether I come here to talk about something, whatever is going on in my life, or something that I made, like even when the things that I make, like I put love in it, and it shows through because I get compliments all the time. And it's like, I get excited to put on something that I make because I love what I do. I love what I'm creating, and I feel good when I put my stuff on. And so the fact that people can feel the love or the energy that I have on, it's like, it's so satisfying. And regardless of whether I got a compliment or not, it's like I feel good about what I'm wearing, and I just try and put love in whatever I do because I want to receive all that love back. So I just wanted to share that. And so thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.